I know, chasing that dough, hitting that road, getting that money, man. All I know, loading that foe, kicking down doors, getting that money, man. We gon' make it money. We gon' take it Christmas. We gon' make it money. We gon' take it Christmas.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is Shawn Porter announces his retirement at the post-fight press conference. All right, let's take a listen.
You've done everything. Do you think you'll be back, or could this be it for you, or what are the reasons to continue your career having fought everyone like you have?
Yeah, you know what? It's a great question, and I kind of expected that question because of fighting everyone. I'm prepared to retire. I was prepared to announce my retirement tonight. Win, lose, or draw. Even if it was a draw, we had to. They were telling us we were gonna have to do it again. I was not gonna do it again. I'm announcing my retirement right now. Yeah.
Great career. All of it.
One of the guys I admire in this sport is Andre Ward, and I heard he had me up on the scorecard. So shout out to Andre Ward. One thing, I kind of hang on to every word that Dre says. I really admire him and everything that he's been to this sport. And we were in the back room about to do Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder 3. Someone comes up to him, you know, with all of the talk about Ward, Canelo. And they said, "Come on, champ, you know you got one left in you." And he says, "Why can't I just have one more left in me?" And the guy was confused. Meanwhile, I'm like, you said it all right there. Why do I have to continue? Why can't I just have one more in me and save it? Why can't I just have one more in me? I think a lot of times the way that this sport has gone, you guys expect us to fight for 15, 20 years. You expect us to, you said, we hope he leaves this game with his health, but you never really know. I've been fortunate enough to be in some really big fights against some really good guys and always have my health at the end of the night. And, you know, with that being said, I knew that Errol Spence Jr. was going to be my last fight. I knew that in 2017, I think it was, when he won his championship fight. And I said that he would be the last one I fought. And after we fought, I felt like there was something else, and something else was Terrence Crawford. I said, win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. I've given this sport a great deal. From the training to the competition, and then more training. And you know, with that being said, after you fought everybody at the top, what more do you do? I'm not going to be a gatekeeper. You would look at the 4 losses and would assume that, well, you know, he could be a gatekeeper. Now, that's not the life that I want to live. I've never wanted to live the life of a fighter who fought into his 40s. Quiet as it's kept, we wanted to fight when we wanted to end this when we were 30. We talked about that, and 34, and now's the time.
All right, so you heard from Shawn Porter. He's announcing his retirement. He gave his reasons. I'm gonna turn over to you, Trill Dollar Bill. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, well, I seen it coming. Even when I was talking with a buddy of mine, and I was telling him about the fight. We was talking about the fight, and I was like, for a person to win, they got to be dedicated and stuff like that to fight at this elite level, right? Shawn Porter did well, but this, to me, this wasn't the best Shawn Porter that I've seen, you know. And I've seen something different, especially, you know, I'm not making no excuses. What I'm saying is Shawn was already, to me, looking for an out. Doing the commentaries, he had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you know, and you can't do that, especially when you fighting these elite guys. You got to be dedicated, and you got to be 100%, you know, focused on just that. He wants to retire, that's fine. everything he said was spot on. I can't disagree with anything that he said. This is his body, you know. This is what he wants to do. Shawn has been a warrior. Shawn has been a warrior, and he's fought everybody. He has fought everybody from Devin Alexander to every. He's fought everybody. AB, the other AB. You know what I'm saying? 2 ABs. You know what I'm saying? Adrian Broner and Andre Berto. He fought Thurman. He fought Danny. He fought everybody you want to. You know, I thought his last hurrah was Earl. You know, he gave the valiant effort. He got dropped, but he was still an exciting fight. To me, he was winning every Granados, Ugas. You know what I'm saying? He go on and on. He has a solid resume. He's fought everybody. You know, so if Shawn wants to hang it up, fine. Can't say that he ducked anybody. And you know, shout outs to Shawn. You know, Shawn, if he wants to retire, he can retire.
Conspiracy G.
I agree 1000% with what Tro was saying, but I'm also looking at it from another angle. I'm kind of disappointed in Shawn announcing it at the post-fight press conference, because it kind of, in a way, it kind of invalidates TC's victory, right? Like, because the fact that he said, man, I wanted to retire after the Spence fight, right? So then now I'm looking at, well, you know, Kenny throwing that towel, maybe because you weren't really prepared for a TC fight. So then now it's kind of like, did TC beat the best Shawn Porter? So then now there's an asterisk on that fight. It's like, yeah, you beat Shawn Porter, but was that the Shawn Porter that fought Spence, or was that a Shawn Porter that was ready to retire? You know, so then now it's kind of like, man, I don't know. I kind of felt like you're doing a disservice to TC for talking the way that he's talking right now. I kind of felt like maybe wait a week or two or something and then be like, yo, you know what, after consulting with my family, whatever, I'm just going to retire from the sport. Him saying that right now, and the fact that you said, you know, I wanted to retire after Spence, it's like, yo, come on, fam. Like, so then now all of this seems like you wasn't the prime Shawn Porter that we were expecting. You know, you was like a shell of yourself. And so that's the only thing I'm disappointed about with this whole thing. But nonetheless, Shawn Porter has a great career. You know, like he's given us great fights. You know, he's good at his commentation is pretty good. I like his podcast. So he has options. He doesn't need to starve himself and do these ridiculous training camps that we see him doing in the desert and all of that stuff. Now he can just enjoy his family. So that's a blessing. But I just feel like this announcement was just too soon for me, especially after we finally got TC to fight somebody across the street. And he's fighting a guy that's essentially already wanted to retire. So I just kind of felt like, congratulations to Shawn Porter, but I know TC's probably disappointed right now.
Ned the TBE.
Yo, nah, I don't agree with that that statement, G. I feel to get up some people hate to get up every morning and just go to work. And Shawn Porter gets up every morning and trains to endure punishment. And you gotta congratulate a man who's willing to like let everything go after a career where he tried to do everything he could to be the best in this sport. And I'm not mad at Porter for announcing it at this time. Like, you know, who knows? Maybe he was ready to quit a long time. He said he was ready to hang it up a long time ago. At 30 years old, he gave 4 more years to the sport. And you know, now you're leaving with your faculties. You're leaving with good health. And you know, we don't know what's underlying. We just see how you are, and you look healthy to us. We don't know what's underlying. We don't know what's going on with you. But you know, I just want to congratulate you, Porter, on the career you had. It's been entertaining. It's been amazing. And you know, we probably will never see another fighter like you again. But you know, congratulate you on your success and hope you enjoy retirement and keep giving us them shiny suits off air or on air outside the ring.
Nah, don't keep doing that.
But can I ask just one question there? Because I see what you're saying. I hope I didn't come off as I'm hating on Porter.
No.
But if Porter made that announcement after the Spence fight, right, would we even want to see TC versus Porter?
It depends. If he announced his retirement or he said he
Like
wants
after
to
the
retire.
Spence loss, and he said, "Yo, you know what? I'm retiring. I'm done." And then, so like, you know what I mean? Because it's like we still thinking, well, at least for me, I thought this is still Showtime Porter that's gonna give it to TC, right? But now that I hear this dude, honestly, I wanted to retire after the Spence fight. It's kind of like, were you really?
But if it was the same outcome that we got last night, I wouldn't be mad at it. If it was more of like he showed up and got beat up, then no. But he showed up and he came out and he gave all he had, and he went out where the towel got thrown in. So it is what it is now.
Yeah, for me, man, it's like this. What do you want him to do? I feel like it's his moment. It's his announcement. He can make it whenever he wants. I think it's no surprise to me that he's retired. You look at his career. This dude has literally fought everyone. He fought Special K when he was Special K. He fought Keith Thurman. He fought Danny Garcia. He fought Yordenis Ugas, and now he's fought Terrence Crawford. Now, notice that all those guys I'm mentioning to you are really, really good fighters, and he fought all of them before he fought Terrence Crawford. And people get mad when you bring up the wear and tear on Showtime Shawn Porter as if it's not there. What's one of the first things that happened in that fight that was of major consequence? Shawn Porter got a cut over his eye, and they were talking about it. And you hear a lot of double talk from the ESPN commentary that makes me laugh. One of the things they say was, oh, that was a good Shawn. I don't want to hear anything. But when he gets cut, you're like, oh, yeah, there's a lot of scar tissue there. Why is there a lot of scar tissue there? Because he's been in wars. That's what happens when you've been in wars. I remember Miguel Cotto at the beginning of his career, and I remember Miguel Cotto towards the end of his career. Cotto was going to always be a dangerous fight because he's a great fighter. But he wasn't the same at some point. Beating Cotto wasn't the same as beating Cotto in his prime. Yordenis Ugas just beat Manny Pacquiao. That's not the same as beating Manny Pacquiao when he was in his prime, right? So you got to understand, like, whose victory over Manny Pacquiao carries more weight, Yordenis Ugas or Juan Manuel Marquez? Of course, Juan Manuel did it in more impressive fashion, but the point I'm making is it also matters when you did it. And so I think when you look at how quickly Kenny Porter stopped the fight, to me, that was more about wear and tear. That was more about, I cannot see my son take any more punishment. I seen him get beat on by Danny Garcia. Go watch that fight. I watched him get hit and clipped by Yordenis Ugas. I watched him get clipped by Thurman. I watched him get clipped by Kell Brook. Now I'm watching him get clipped by TC. Like, I can't let this continue any longer. So to act like wear and tear doesn't play a role in the way someone performs, you're being disingenuous and you're being dishonest. You know good and darn well that wear and tear impacts a fighter to the point where we see another dad concerned about his son. That dad's name is John Fury. We heard John Fury saying, I don't want Tyson to keep fighting. I think, how many times can you keep getting up? How many times can you keep getting up? Take John Fury's mindset and put it inside Kenny Porter. He's thinking, how many times is this? Shawn has been dropped before. He was dropped by Adrian Broner. He was dropped by Earl Spence. And then he was just dropped. He gets up. He keeps getting up. But if you're thinking, you saying something, bro? You're on mute, bro.
I'm sorry. I said, and I totally agree with you. And Shawn takes a lot of punches in his fights. You know what I'm saying? They look at the connect rate of Danny Garcia. Even in his wins, he takes a lot of punches. Even the Granados fight, he takes a lot of punches.
Mm-hmm. He does, and that's the point. And so for me, everyone acting like that wasn't the best version of Shawn Porter that I've ever seen. And we'll dive into that in a second. For me, and you can ask them in the group, there was one round where Porter kind of went for it, and he threw like everything, and TC was shelling up, and he was landing some stuff but not clean. And I say, you know, that might cost him later because he exerted so much energy and he didn't get enough gain from it. It was almost like he went for broke in that moment, and he exerted so much energy, but he wasn't really landing. And he used to be able to do that type of assault multiple times throughout the course of a fight for over the 12 rounds of a fight. And that was the only exchange where he somewhat looked like Porter, but this time it looked like it took a lot out of his tank from me. And from that point on, he seemed like he was slowing down. So for me, I think, you know, he is at that point where he needs to decide, do I want to be a gatekeeper? Right? Or because realistically, how's he going to get another shot at a title? Well, he's going to have to beat Virgil Ortiz Jr. He's going to have to beat Jerome Boots Ennis. These guys are on the way up. These guys are on the way up. And I don't think this dude wants to step in the ring with those guys. Just being real, especially with the wear and tear on his body. So I think the retirement's the next logical step, unless he wants to earn a career as a gatekeeper. And even the great Bud Crawford, who was supposed to smoke him, which didn't happen, he was very competitive. It was another close loss, like with everyone else. So he could make some good money being a gatekeeper. But the thing is that how you want to be remembered? Is that how you want to go? He has other things going for him, like G pointed out, podcasts, commentary. He's good at those things. You know, so he doesn't
shiny suit clothing line.
Well, he does have a clothing collection.
The Porter clothing line coming next. Although Ned, I have to warn you, I don't think there are too many people lining up to dress like Shawn Porter. I'm just saying. I don't think Shawn Porter looks like that dude who shops at like the cheap suit store in the neighborhood, but he always thinks he's styling, but he can never quite put the outfit together. That's how Shawn Porter dresses. Nah, but for me, I think, you know, I get what you're saying, G. Ideally, he could have done it somewhere else, but like sometimes you do it immediately in the moment to remind yourself how you feel. And he's not the first person to announce his retirement at the post-fight conference. So I still don't think it takes away from TC because I didn't see a Shawn Porter that quit in that fight. I saw a Shawn Porter who was up on the cards, and people will say like, oh, you're being a hater. That's actually validating TC's win because TC fought a live guy. TC fought a guy who was in there to win, and he imposed his will on Shawn. That's a good thing for TC. But of course, haters and people with agendas aren't going to see it that way. He retires, but I don't think it should knock TC's victory because he showed up to win. And in my opinion, he was in fact winning. So TC deserves credit for the stoppage. I just want to say this, and then I'll close. To Shawn Porter, thank you for the memories. Thank you for being a guy who will fight anyone. That's why I'm still here. Showtime Caden to salute. I don't know if this is really going to be the last fight. But if it is, you've been involved in some of the best welterweight classes since Floyd Money Mayweather retired. Last night was no exception. To me, he reminds me of Shane Mosley in many ways. I've always said that. This is just another example. I respect the guy who has enough heart to go in and give it their all, even if he loses. He didn't stop the fight. His dad stopped the fight. Much respect to Showtime, Shawn Porter. Salute.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe and check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros.